hello, everybody, and welcome back to Pluribus Diaries. I'm Annie.
I'm Jen.
And we're here with you today to talk about episode 4 of season 1, entitled Please, Carol. The writer of this episode is Alison Tatlock, who is of Better Call Saul fame. She wrote a couple of one of my personal favorite episodes, JMM and Something Stupid. Remember with that little montage at the beginning with the split screen?
Yeah,
amazing.
Very nice.
And the director is Zetna Fuentes, a new addition to the crew and another woman.
Yes.
Which we love to see.
Love it. Writer and director, women this week, which I adore.
I'm really loving this. Thank you, Vince. Thank you for all of the female voices and putting them behind the camera, in front of the camera, all of the above. Yep. We are just loving it.
All of the above. So important, especially for a show that's about a woman's experience, first and foremost. So I'm so glad that he's got women's voices contributing to that. Getting
that right. Love it. Mm-hmm. Before we start, Jen, I need to issue a little bit of a mea culpa because as the resident Better Call Saul fan on this podcast, or I should say resident Better Call Saul expert on this podcast, I was very wrong last episode in suggesting that they didn't start flashbacks until season 2. They actually did quite a few in season 1. And the truth was rolling into my brain slowly after we recorded the episode, where I was like, okay, maybe I missed one. No, I missed like 3 or 4 or 5 flashbacks. All to say, I have no excuse. I had a brain fart, I suppose. But they actually started, I believe, in the 3rd episode of the first season, which is what Pluribus is doing. So
there you go.
Yeah, excellent
Gave
job.
Gave us a chance to mention it again, which was great. And yes, you were. I understand. We all make those sort of just like brain fart mistakes, and if we make them about something that we're passionate about, it's particularly distressing.
It's distressing. Yes, it was very irksome for me to realize that I was so wrong. So yeah, yes, I had to put that out there.
We talked it through. We talked. I talked you off the ledge a little bit. I think
you down. Yes, it's okay. We're good.
But, yes, I'm glad we were able to set the record straight. And I mean, I can attest that was but a very passing brain fart, and that you are in all things a Better Call Saul expert. So that that crown is in no way tarnished.
We'll see. Moving forward, we'll see how many more mea culpas I'm going to have to issue. But anyone who knows me knows that that's generally not the case with this. So anyway, before we talk about the episode, also, we want to read some tweets from you guys. And also, there was a really fun thing that they did on Friday. There was an AMA on Reddit with Carol Sturka, who I'm assuming was Ray in character. I don't know if I have no clue who was actually answering these questions, or if it was the writing team or whatever. It was a picture of Ray holding it. I mean, she didn't look like Carol. She looked like Ray. So
yeah, I think she was supposed to be Carol when she was sort of holding the sign, because, because there was something also about like, this was my manager's idea. This is what was written on Reddit. And so I feel like I have to do it. So I think it was all meant to be Carol in character. But
I just don't know who was actually doing the writing. I'm curious about that.
If I had to guess, the stuff that was written seemed very on point and very in keeping with the show. And you'd have to be very careful, I think, about what you say, so that you don't inadvertently give away a plot point later or something like that. So I got to think at the very least there was someone from the show there overseeing the operation, if not actually doing the writing. But I'd love to know who was actually doing the writing.
Right. Or maybe even like a little team of people. Like, I don't know.
Yeah, might have been.
Yeah, it would be nice to know. But anyway, I wanted you to read some, Jen, because there were some really kind of cute and funny answers.
There were. I mean, it was quite an entertaining little AMA to go through to see, like, and kudos to the Redditors out there who contributed questions and who really embraced their role as fans of Carol Sturka. And really, these folks understand fandom, and they understand the kind of questions that fans would ask. So kudos for the comments and questions that everyone asked. They were just as entertaining as the answers. This one said, I was curious. There's a rumor going around that people are saying they've seen you move Why Carol books into the best-selling section at stores. This may be problematic. I know Raban would never do such a thing. So is Raban truly a reflection of your own personality? And Carol's very clear response is, wow, vicious, unfounded gossip. Not to sound like a conspiracy theorist, But I'm wondering if that's being propagated by certain fellow jealous authors. I hope it goes without saying, I myself would never do this. And of course, we all know as viewers, Carol actually doesn't do
No,
it. It's
she's not
Helen that
lying.
does it. So she's telling the truth there. Like maybe we'll be getting into one of the themes of tonight's episode. Carol in this case doesn't lie either. And I liked this one. What would be one thing you would like to do if you were queen of the earth for a day? And Carol says, I don't know, but I'm pretty sure I'd be nice to everybody. Red heart emoji. Absolutely.
That tracks. Yeah.
Yeah, that tracks. And then we get into kind of the evidence, a little more evidence. I don't know whether we can take this as canon or not, but there's definitely an indication in this AMA that Carol's definitely in the closet, because we have things like, your manager sounds really smart. Are they single? And Carol says, she would be a catch for sure. Again, not really answering the question, but like not really answering the question either. And someone else saying, this one, curious to know if there's someone special in your life. And Carol says, very appropriately, all my fans are special to me. Great answer, Carol.
Again, just very diplomatic, dodging, not necessarily not answering.
Very diplomatic. And like, who wouldn't be happy with that response?
Right.
And someone asks about the source, the anonymous source, that the main male character was supposed to be female. And Carol says, not sure if you can trust that source, my friend. Again, not totally lying,
right,
but definitely implying something. And the last one I want to read is, this is clearly, I feel like this is, if we're imagining this happening in the universe of the show, I'm picturing Carol doing this, and Helen sitting right next to her and making sure that it gets, that Carol answers everything appropriately.
Mm-hmm.
One of the questions is, hi, Carol, when's your next sign and greet? And Carol says, I love you all, but after this particularly long, and then in brackets, in capital letters, but wonderful book tour, I need to spend a few nights in my own bed. So I loved them. They're all fun. Go check it out on, you don't have to have a Reddit account or anything like that. You can just check it out. And it's a fun read. I mean, I don't know whose idea this was, but I think it was hilarious and clever and interesting. And if this is Apple marketing driving this idea, I'm so impressed and appreciative of the levels that Apple is going to continue to market this show in all the clever ways and entertaining ways they're doing.
Yeah. They're really working their hardest to make this show our entire personalities, aren't they?
I mean, and it is. It's like all day, every day. I'm reading about it on Reddit. I'm getting texts. It's just like, it's my whole life right now. And I couldn't be happier.
I have a couple tweets to read from @BDunbar. Did you notice that Carol did not take a drink in the Ice Hotel? Whatever her issues with booze and pills, they seem to have started after this flashback. Jen, I did notice that, and I meant to point it out. I don't remember if we did talk about it, because it seemed to be Harold, I keep saying it seemed to be Helen who was taking charge of the drinking. Like, come over here and have this drink. It's great.
She was really encouraging Carol to have a drink.
Yeah.
So that's right. I actually didn't notice that Carol never actually did have that drink.
Another thing I wanted to point out last episode that I either didn't have time to or forgot was that Carol does not seem to have a cell phone or a smartphone or access to one. And we've seen two examples of this.
Oh, yeah.
In the first episode, Helen's the one who's, reading the tweets to her. She doesn't have a phone. Yeah. Like, there's no phone. Even when Helen falls, she picks up Helen's phone. Like, Carol doesn't go for her own phone. She doesn't have one.
Oh,
and then we notice in the flashback, which was 7 years prior, that she says, I'm looking for your phone.
Yeah. Like,
why doesn't she look for her own phone? Yeah.
Her own phone. Yeah.
So yeah, what's that about? Like, is it something like maybe is Carol maybe she's a little thin-skinned, and maybe she's this is kind of her way of staying off social media or staying away from the news or I don't know what that was, but like, I thought that was an interesting choice.
That's a great point, that we have a couple of different scenes there where it would make sense for her to have a phone and she doesn't. Now, obviously in present day pluribus.
Right. She doesn't need one anymore
She
because she
wouldn't
can't have
have
one.
one.
But
Yeah, she wouldn't have any need for one. But you're right. In the flashbacks or at the beginning of the series, there's times where we would expect her to have one. So it's an interesting little possible insight into her character.
yeah.
Like maybe you say either she doesn't want to know what people are saying, or it became an unhealthy obsession. And Helen said,
Yes.
"No more phone for you."
Yeah. I was thinking something along the lines, but I mean, I don't know what it means, but I do. As we know, Vince is very intentional with all of these
Yeah,
decisions. I mean, it can't just be like, I don't have a phone because I can't call, because they very easily could have had her pull
yeah,
out her own phone, shit,
yeah,
like, and it doesn't work, and then
yeah.
go run into the bar. Like, they
That
could
would
have
make
done
more
that.
sense. Yeah.
Yeah, but they didn't. So she doesn't have a phone, and I just think it's interesting. Interesting
Mm,
little detail.
very.
From Denny North, I am curious if Us is concerned with repopulating the Earth and what the naming convention will be for newborn babies. I don't believe Us will
Mm,
be building another transmitter on Earth without at least maintaining the current population. This is an interesting concept because that it just leads into these bigger questions of what exactly is the motivation of Us.
mhm.
Is it to repopulate the planet, or is it to take over? You know,
Yeah, or
and
both.
or both. And if that's the case, then is repopulation even necessary, or is
Well, I
procreation
mean,
necessary?
you'd have to have continued population, I assume, depending on how long term this plan is, I suppose.
Right.
Like,
I mean, unless you just want to wait till everyone eventually dies and then the planet
yeah,
is empty and then ripe for
maybe,
takeover. Who
maybe.
knows?
Yeah,
But
maybe we'll find out someday. But yeah.
the naming concept was very interesting too, because
Mhm.
if there's a newborn baby, it's not going to get a name. It
Yeah.
has no individuality. Is it just going to be infant one, infant two?
Yeah.
Like, this is very
Yeah.
Orwellian. You know what I mean? Like, it's just interesting.
That's actually a really great question because babies have most certainly, I'm sure, been born in the period of time we've had
Right.
since the joining. And yeah, what have they been naming them? Because yeah, as we've seen, and it's been emphasized again in this episode, the members of the others don't really recognize themselves as having the names of their bodies, essentially. The
Right.
individual names that they used to have don't
It's
mean
always the
anything to them
past.
anymore.
Yeah.
Yeah.
This individual went by. Yeah. It's just
So,
interesting.
they don't seem to have any connection to names whatsoever. So, yeah, there'd be not much point in naming a baby, but is there even any point in making a distinction of which baby is which? I mean,
Right.
also raises the question of who's raising the babies. Is there still a family structure? Lots of questions that
Yeah.
we may find out more in the future, but it's fascinating. The more I learn about this world, the more fascinating I find it. Like, they could spend just a whole episode on tiny details of
Yeah.
how this is all being done, and I'd find them fascinating.
Right. And like you said, just the possibilities are endless. Like, I just keep
Yeah.
I hear a critique occasionally from people like, how are they going to sustain this series? They have plenty to sustain this series
Oh,
as far as I'm
yeah.
concerned. They have an endless amount of interesting topics that they can go into. Like, how would this affect A, B, and C? Like, I don't know. I just
Mhm.
find it really,
I
really
yeah, they I think
interesting.
the world building in this series is beyond anything I've seen in recent years, and
Mhm.
I love the fact that it's not based on anything so much, especially sort of, genre shows, sci-fi shows are based on something else. They're based on a graphic novel series or a novel or some other past series or movie. To have something completely original, no one has any clue where this is going. I
Mhm.
love that. I love that it's something that's completely sprung from Vince's mind and the minds of his fellow writers and producers, and it's rare to have something that unique and fresh.
I think you're right, but to be fair, I mean, this isn't necessarily a brand new premise in terms of like
Mhm.
invasion of the body snatchers, or like people being taken over by something that then were thrust into this world. I think what's unique about it is that seems at this point not as interesting, like not the thing that we care about is
Mhm.
what this thing is and how it happened. Like, what they seem to be dealing with uniquely, I think, is the aftermath, and like how
Yeah.
how do we navigate this world?
Well, and we just don't know where it's going. We don't
Right,
know
right.
what the true cause is. We don't know what we're finding out. We established a few interesting things in this episode, and we'll get into that. But every time we establish something new, I'm fascinated by it,
Yeah,
and it is hard to say where it's going to go next because it is so unique and creative,
right.
and I'm loving that.
Yeah. Casey says, great discussion. Your convo about Carol wanting to keep her Helen memories to herself reminded me of another Vince story, the John Doe from X-Files. Both explore what makes us who we are as individuals. I love that episode. Perhaps an early kernel of an idea that evolved into the series. In fact, the pluribus might be the ultimate memory vampire. I disagree with Casey. This is not even close to one of my favorite episodes of the X-Files.
I mean, it can be Casey's favorite.
No, I disagree with her on. I disagree with her on the quality of that episode. But I think that she has a very good point. That it is.
I think so. I'm giving Casey props for that deep dive.
It is a deep dive.
A Vince episode of the X-Files that not many people think of. Very often,
much of,
or watch.
Sorry, Vince,
often.
we love you, but he can have a miss every now and then. In my opinion,
it was just not a great. It was a difficult season. Let's just put it that way.
Yes,
but it's just. I mean, I've said on X-Files Diaries that every episode of the X-Files, no matter what we as individual fans might think of it, someone out there, it's their favorite episode. Would I have thought that I was talking about John Doe when I said that? No, but here we have evidence of that.
Yeah, but to her point, I do think that there is something very much similar in terms of the idea of, in that episode, for people who don't recall, Doggett's memories are stolen from him, and then he basically makes this decision by the end that he wants the memories back, even the bad ones, because they're what make him him.
Yes.
And I do agree with Casey that there does seem to be a kernel of this thought process in pluribus, in the idea of individuality and memory and what makes us human and that sort of thing. So it's very, very believable to me that could have been something in his brain that, okay, that maybe didn't quite reach where I wanted to, so I can take that idea and expand upon it here. I can see it.
Yeah. I think absolutely. I think that writers have certain concepts that they find fascinating that tend to come up again and again in their writing. And so, I appreciate Casey for making that connection, because I sure as heck never would. So it's just, I would never have remembered that episode in this context. So thank you, Casey, for bringing that up. Appreciate you both as a Pluribus fan and an X-Files fan.
Yeah, always happy to bring X-Files connections into this.
Absolutely.
Last one, Bob Tinsman said, great episode of Pluribus and the pod. I really enjoy your discussion. I knew you would be thrilled to see Helen again. Yep.
You were, we're that predictable, I guess.
Yeah. My theory about the lights going out is that they all, except for a skeleton crew minding Carol, go to sleep at the same time and then wake back up at the same time. Yeah, I actually like that. I agree with that also because it's really creepy. I just imagine people like all over the city, just in thousands of houses, just going, okay, time for bed. And they all just shut off the lights and they just lay down and they all just go to sleep. But
absolutely.
But I don't know. The interesting thing is, can they? They obviously can. They all do multitudes of different functions at every moment of the day. But it is kind of crazy to think that they can actually have that sort of omnipresence to be doing all of those things simultaneously. Some are asleep and some are awake. Obviously, some are asleep on the other side of the globe and some are awake. But yeah, that's just, I don't know. It's wild to think about and creepy.
It's just sort of further, just another way that they are like completely in sync, completely one. They don't have to plan this. They all just know, okay, now it's my bedtime. I go to sleep now. Right. And they would all just do it at once without a second thought, all like instantaneously. I think that's a great theory. I think that makes total sense.
I like it. Well, thank you everybody for writing in. And if you guys want to join the convo, check us out, pluribuspod.com. and Pluribus Pod on all the socials, Twitter and Blue Sky, and also an email address. If you guys want to write in and let us know your theories, or if we said something wrong and you want to correct us, feel free to do that as well.
Yeah.
Thank you for everybody who is listening.
We try to be right as often as we can, and we want to know when we're not. So we appreciate that.
All right, Jen, what do you say? You want to get into this episode?
Let's do it.
All right. Please, Carol. So we start out in Paraguay. Yay! We finally get to meet our good friend, hopefully, Manusos.
Yes.
Interesting. I think I loved the Helen flashback, but this cold open I think was so good. Like, I am having trouble deciding which episodes are my favorite because each one is just So good. But I
Yeah.
thought that the tension of this whole thing and the way it was all said with basically the whole story was told with no dialogue. You understand
Yep.
exactly what's going on. Once again, wonderful, wonderfully done.
Yep.
Carlos Manuel Vesca is the actor playing Minusos.
Mhm.
And we see that what do you think he's doing, Jen? He's testing the radio station, all these different frequencies. Is he looking for another code coming in? Like, is
Yeah.
he aware of like what, for example, the United States agriculture Davis Tatfler guy shared with Carol that information about what exactly this is. But they also said that he has not been in contact with them. So we don't really know at this point what he knows, right?
No, we don't. Yeah, I think he's very, very much not been in contact with them. My guess, and I'd love to hear listener theories about this too, is that that's like a shortwave radio or a ham radio. I'm sure there are aficionados of both those things that would recognize right away what kind of radio it is. And he's just in a very disciplined fashion, going through every single radio frequency, listening for signs of life. So I think he's trying to find other humans that are trying to make contact.
Right. Like him, essentially.
He's looking for people like him. And because he hasn't been in a chummy relationship with the others, the others being like what they call the pod people on the official podcast. So I'm going to start using that term, I think.
I hate it. Okay.
Did you say you hate it?
Well, here I just can't think of the others in any other form than from Lost. Like for me, the others are on Lost. Like so, I know that's what they're calling them, but
yes.
I don't think I'm ever going to call them that. But
that's
you feel
fair.
free.
Okay, thank you. So yeah, because he hasn't been in contact with the others, he doesn't know if there are people like him out in the world. For all he knows, he might be the only one, or maybe there's thousands. He doesn't know which it is. So I think this is his way of trying to find out. And he's got a whole system. He's writing down the frequencies. He's timing it for like 30 seconds or 10 seconds or something so that he gives it the same amount of time at every frequency to check. This is a very disciplined undertaking. And you can tell he's been sitting there for a long time. His neck's getting stiff. He's this is his project right now. I think this is how he spends his day.
So we find out very quickly that he's starving. He has no food because, and it's interesting because in this scene where he goes to the trash can and he like licks the tuna can or whatever, I remember when we saw that on the preview or the trailer or teaser, whatever it was, I remember thinking that was just like so ominous. Like I remember it because, and I think it's because I was associating with the donut licking. I don't know why, but I was, for some reason I thought, oh, this is going to be a bad guy. Like he's creepy.
Yeah. It seemed slightly sinister.
Now we know the truth. That's not what it is at all. He's just trying to get food wherever he can, any sort of sustenance wherever he can. And we realize that he has had ample opportunity to get real food from the joining. I'm going to call them the joining because I like that. I feel like that's what they were calling themselves.
Yeah,
so.
we're going to have to put it out to the listeners. What should we call them?
This lady, by the way, what did you make of her? Because I got the impression that like this is his Zosha. They've probably picked somebody from his life, maybe like a mother figure or some, that he would connect to, but it obviously has not worked. Yeah. But she's bringing the food and he continues to just topple it over.
Yeah, not
every time.
I mean, again, this is such an interesting, we just spent a couple of minutes with Minusos and he says almost nothing, but we're learning so much about his character. And the fact that he's resisting the food when he's starving says that's how strongly he feels about having no contact with these people and how little he trusts them.
It says volumes, yeah.
And
look, Carol did also throw away the food, but eventually
she did, but she wasn't starving. Yeah.
She was not starving, and she eventually gave in and was like, "Give me back my whole grocery store." So
yeah, exactly. And not only does Minusos not eat the food, he deliberately goes out and knocks it over every day. So he's not just ignoring them. He's like showing defiance towards them.
Yeah, I was wondering if it was defiance or also sort of so that he's not tempted.
Yeah, I thought that too, maybe.
But at the same time, he just pulled something out of the trash can. So, I mean, if he really, really wanted it, I don't think he would not go get it off the floor. So.
Yeah, probably.
That doesn't really
probably.
Make sense.
But he wants them to know, yes, I know you left this food. No, I'm not going to take it.
No, I'm not going to take it. Yeah.
Go to hell. Yeah.
Yeah. So, but I do love this scene where he decides, he gets an idea, it seems, to open up the storage units because as we learned in the last episode or one of the previous episodes, that he works at this self-storage facility. And another little clue that this is a good dude. He leaves this very apologetic note, like, we had to do this. Like, he's a good dude, I think.
Yeah, he's trying to do the right thing.
My initial judgment of him is that he's a good dude. Okay.
Yeah,
we'll
he's
see
a
where
good
this goes.
dude. Yeah, I think so. I think he's a good dude, and he's a very determined guy.
Right. So this music that they play while he's opening up the storage units, it was familiar to me because I think it's the same music that they played in the official teaser.
I thought it sounded like kind of familiar music, but yeah, it's not. That's not a piece from our resident score composer Dave Porter, though, is it?
No, it is actually called Sumac, and it's by Loris. And you can find it on Apple Music. They released it. So,
all right.
Great little banger. I love it.
It is a banger.
So after going through all of the storage units, oh my God, his sad little smorgasbord. That's what I wrote.
It is a sad little smorgasbord.
It was just like he has some sugar packets, what looks like some chili sauce or something.
Yeah, maybe.
A creamer.
Ew.
And dog food, unfortunately.
Yeah, wow. Yeah.
Oh, Lord. And I mean, the second I recognized that as dog food, I was just like, oh, Lord. Oh, here we are. And I mean, he did find like 3 cans of it. Who knows how old it is? But I mean, that could last him a couple days, I guess.
And it's going to have protein in it. It'll keep him going.
Yeah. By the way, you should check it out. The newest episode of the official podcast. They have Carlos Manuel Vesca on, and he was speaking about this scene. And let me just tell you, I could listen to that man talk for hours.
Well, me too.
Yes.
Yeah,
yes.
absolutely.
I enjoyed it very, very much.
Yeah.
But they were describing him eating the dog food, and Vince was like, yeah, you weren't acting. You were just grossed out. Because I think they said it was haggis, I think is what they said.
They said it was haggis with like some broth added to it. Now, my husband is Scottish, and when I haven't been able to offend my husband yet with the information that apparently haggis is considered the most disgusting food in the world by those that were eating it. But I don't know if Sandy, my husband, would disagree with that. I mean, haggis can be a little on the disgusting side.
Here's the thing. This is one of those, like, I don't know if placebo effect is the right term for this, but it's like it looks enough like dog food.
Yeah.
And you're eating it out of a dog food can.
Yeah.
And it probably does not taste great.
No.
So I have a feeling that this experience of him eating whatever is in that can is not much better than him eating actual dog food.
I mean, like, I'm thinking cold, wet haggis sounds pretty horrible, actually. And I mean, he does such a great job of selling it, doesn't he? That's just like, I can hardly watch that scene. And I think I'm going to give props to the sound editors too, because it just sounds gross, just the way it
even
sounds.
His swallows, like you could tell he's having trouble getting it down.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The whole thing is so disgusting. The second time I watched that scene, I had to turn the sound off. It was too gross for me.
Yeah, agreed. But okay, at last we arrive. I mean, other than building this character, which they did a brilliant job at, we arrive at the other end of the phone call that we got in the last episode, which also very much reminded me of Better Call Saul. Just had to point that out.
I'm just going to say, was it the last? Yeah, it was the last episode, wasn't it? That's right.
Yeah. Where we now know his perspective. He's literally in his self-storage place alone eating dog food. This man is not in a good position to have a chat. And he also is pretty sure that this is the joining who's calling him, because he's probably been called by them many, many, many times, and he's tired of it,
Yeah. And we know, we have a clearer idea at this point exactly what his attitude is towards them.
And it explains / justifies his behavior in the last episode. You know what I mean? Like, we get it.
Yeah. He's not just chilling at home in Paraguay and just being rude for no reason. This guy this guy is on the edge, and he has reason to be how he is. Exactly.
But I do love that what we kind of took as like a throwaway funny moment in the last episode, which was Carol cursing him out. Like, well, good job, Carol. You couldn't even keep it in for 2 seconds to maybe not burn this bridge.
Yeah.
actually was the magic information she needed to give him for him to realize that, okay, there is someone out there that's like me.
This is not how the joining people talk. This is definitely someone who's a real human. And of course, Carol didn't think about that as a strategy.
No.
But of course, that's how it wound up working. I appreciate it as well as someone who doesn't speak Spanish to have subtitles this time, because we didn't the first version of the phone call when we saw it from Carol's POV. So I knew she was saying something rude. I didn't know exactly what she was saying. Now I know.
Yeah. So he writes down, which I thought was funny, Carol S. Turca.
Yeah.
Which
he doesn't, I mean, she does have kind of an odd last name. And if English isn't your first language, it probably seems even stranger.
Right. Does that mean like Turkish? Like what is that?
I have no idea.
I didn't look that up in
No, I didn't.
Spanish.
I thought I have no idea what that refers to. I should have checked. Good question.
Hang on.
Good question, though. But he's obviously very curious, and you get the impression that he wants to learn more about her. So, I mean, once she, cursed him out, that was kind of like she was done with him. But I'm hoping beyond hope that she thinks to call him again at some point, because obviously he's going to be a lot more open to talking to her next time. But she had no reason to know that, of course, at the end of the phone call. But she has to get his phone number first, because Zosha did all the dialing on the plane. So she'll have to get his phone number if she wants to call him again.
First of all, it is Turkish. That's what that means.
That's what
is interesting, because it's like, you're right. There's literally no way or reason for Carol to contact him at this point. So if any contacting is going to happen, it's going to be from him. Yeah. So, but this unfortunately seems like it's already started off poorly and is going to put him on the wrong
realize that's
trail.
Her last name. Yeah.
Yeah. So anyway, we'll see. Hopefully, I don't know. I want to see these two together so badly.
My God. Yeah.
I cannot wait for these two to interact. And particularly with Carol not wanting Zosha to be present, or any of the joining to be present to translate.
Yeah.
Is this going to lead to her? She needs to learn Spanish, like she's going to which, hey, she doesn't have any other thing to do right now. Yeah. So she should be learning Spanish. But anyway, interesting.
Really, what an intriguing sort of seed, very big seed to plant about Manousos. And we don't see him again for the rest of the episode, but we've learned so much about him. And it just sets that stage for wanting to see more of him and wanting to see him and Carol together, and having a little bit of hope that that's going to happen at some point, because he's clearly intrigued by her.
Yes. All right, so we're back in Carol land. Our little count up clock says 7 days, 8 hours, 44 minutes, 27 seconds. So it's been about a week at this point.
Yeah.
We see Carol leaving the hospital, and this is the bit from, what is it, like the second teaser we got? That they were like, sorry about the blood.
Yeah, one of the first ones, the sorry about the blood teaser, I call it. And I wasn't sure we were actually going to get that exact scene. I recognized her clothes in the previous episode as being from that teaser. But I thought maybe they just filmed it as a teaser. I didn't know it was wasn't sure it was going to be in the actual episode. So it was fun to see. Every time we see a scene in the show that's from one of the teasers, I freak out with excitement.
Yes. Well, and also I remember this one specifically because this was the first time that we saw Ray's face. I remember that.
Yeah, that was a big deal.
Yeah. So she realizes that she needs a car to get home. She no longer has her unicorn truck, sadly, RIP.
Sad.
But she finds this car parked at the front, which I think is this whole scene is very funny. Again, no words, just very lovely, wonderfully acted by Ray.
Really great, yeah.
She climbs in, and clearly you notice that it's not smelling great in there. I love the bit where she even smells her own, is
it coming from me? It's not.
And to point out, the song playing is Genie in a Bottle by Christina Aguilera, which I think is very funny. Somebody pointed out, I don't remember who, sorry, I wish I could give you credit, but that basically Zosha is her genie in a bottle now.
Yeah, which of course, throwback to Je Souhaite, the X-Files episode about a literal genie in a bottle. So yeah, again, a little Vince through line there.
Love it. But again, this is how we've, once more, putting together little pieces from those teasers. This is how Carol gets her cop car. And I love this cut, this sort of smash cut to her just chilling. She's just driving her cop car. She's happy as shit. No, she's not happy, but she's very much enjoying her cop car. I think she's I'm pretty much a badass in here. This is great.
Why not? Yeah.
Why not? I'd probably do the same thing. That's pretty cool.
Be pretty great.
Yeah. The us is calling again on the cop thing. And I could tell that
Yeah.
like she does not want to talk to them at all. But I think she also realizes that if I don't answer, they're just going to keep going, you know?
She has to answer.
Also, this voice, I believe the voice on this cop car is the writer Allison Tatlock. I kind of recognized it. I'm pretty sure that was her.
I'm gonna do a side-by-side comparison now with the podcast. The official pod has her on this week, and that scene it could well be her. Now that you mention it, that's a fun idea.
Yeah, and this is also the bit in the teaser that we loved, where she just flips off those people on the side of the road. It's really funny.
It worked really well in the teaser because in a couple of seconds shows you a lot about what's happening in the show. So I loved it. Yes,
really, really great. Also, I once again felt very seen because when the people call her and she picks up the thing and goes, "What?" Like that's sometimes me with my kids when they just won't leave me alone. I have been that person. Yes.
Similar vibe.
What? Yeah. It is giving like very needy children that just need your attention. Like, please,
mom.
We don't
mom.
Really, exactly. Mommy.
Yeah. And you kind of crack eventually. Like, what?
Yes.
Yeah. I liked the reference to Adam 12 there. I too was an Adam 12 fan as a kid, which was a cop show that was on in, I don't know, the 70s or something. And so I just liked that little shout out.
Never heard of it.
All right. I'm of a certain age.
They're dating certain parts of the audience, I guess.
Yeah. Hey, any connection between me and Carol gives me a tickle. It gives me the tingles, in fact.
I love that.
Yep.
They offer to get her car back, which is interesting too, because I remember people were talking about this. What happened to her car? Why doesn't she just get her car back? And I remember thinking, well, it's not very functional for her as she is inebriated every second of the day. But they do offer to remove it. And
they're so helpful.
What do you make of her response? Because she was just kind of like, no, but I could tell her voice kind of cracked a little bit when she says it.
Right? Again, so like, mwah.
Yeah, is it about Helen, you think?
I think, there's something of just Ray taking one single syllable that's just very functional in the scene and putting so much into it that says so much more under the surface that I'm intrigued by. But it's an emotional response for sure. Like she gets a bit choked up.
Turning it into a moment. Yeah.
It turns into a moment. So there's something about that. Maybe just the vehicle itself reminds her too much of Helen. Probably Helen did a lot of the driving because again, we know that Carol is probably a bit of a drinker. And so even before all of this, so I think Helen did a lot of the driving. Maybe she bought the car. Maybe it's her vehicle technically.
Well, and Carol seems to react emotionally and immediately when they bring up removing the breathalyzer device, as if that was her trigger.
Which seemed to be it.
I think leads into our theory that Helen put it there. Like that was her decision to put that there. And in a way, that was Carol sort of saying, just don't touch it. It's very much like, don't touch her. Don't touch anything about her.
Don't touch anything to do with Helen. And if that's connected to Helen, don't touch that. Don't touch anything. Leave it exactly the way it is. So I think that sounds right to me.
So when she arrives back home, everyone is hard at work on her house, fixing it from the grenade explosion. And, it's funny because initially she seems really irritated. And to be fair, they say that you did agree to it. And I agree. I believe she did agree to it. I think she's probably thinking, okay, practically, I should just let them fix my house. Like, I get it.
It's kind of, her first reaction is like, what the fuck are you all doing here? And then it's kind of slowly dawning on her, I did completely fuck up my house with that grenade explosion. So and this is not probably necessary.
Yeah, it's not like she's going to be able to fix it, probably. It's not anything that I have the capability of doing myself.
I wouldn't want to bother, that's for sure. And
the
also,
mind's going to do a great job.
Yeah, and a little insight into the fact that Carol went in the ambulance to the hospital, which I don't think we knew specifically. I mean, we knew she got to the hospital somehow.
Right.
But it was just, I just found it interesting to me that she actually went with them in the ambulance with Zosha when they took her to the hospital, which I guess makes sense in retrospect, but I hadn't thought about it at the time. And I'm just a very big Carol Zosha friendshipper. And so it tickled me to hear that.
I also like the idea that, we knew that too because she didn't have a car. When she left the hospital, she had
total
no
sense.
way home.
And her, her unicorn truck was in flames. So I guess that would be the only logical way to get to the hospital. But I enjoyed it.
Yeah, no, that's very sweet.
It is. And yes, let's talk about the mayor.
Yes, let's talk about the mayor. This was so funny. My daughter particularly enjoyed this joke because this is the actual mayor, Tim Keller of Albuquerque.
As I wrote in my notes, that really is the fucking mayor, as Carol says.
When her delivery of that line is so funny, like, yeah.
You're the fucking mayor.
He's like, thanks for your vote. Which again, okay, this made me think of something else.
Yeah.
The only thing they know about Carol is from other people. They don't know what's in her own brain. So my point is, it's like, what if they get some of it wrong? Like what if she told Helen she voted for this guy, but she really didn't? You know, just as a thought experiment.
Funny, wouldn't it? Yeah.
I don't think she would lie about that at all. But like, I'm just as an experiment.
You never know. Yeah.
Yeah. He doesn't know that she voted for him because he knows she is thinking that. It's because Helen or somebody she would have told.
Yeah. At first I was like, how does he know she voted for him? And I think it's got to be Helen. I think you're not going to go around generally telling strangers how you voted. So I'm thinking that's probably where it came from. But it does raise that question that it's possible she didn't actually. It would be interesting if we were to reach a point in the story where they think they know something about Carol, but they're wrong. Because,
that's what I'm saying. Yeah.
Yeah. Maybe Helen thought she knew something that she didn't.
Or Carol lied, or Carol had withheld something, or Carol didn't tell Helen a certain thing. Like,
we don't always tell our partners everything.
Right.
So, we might let them believe something that may not necessarily be true. So that would be an interesting turn of events.
Right, particularly with what happens in this episode in regards to honesty and what we're going to get to in a moment with Carol and Helen. It made me think about that. Carol goes inside and she is in her office, which I loved just freeze framing this and just looking at all the little details in her office.
Great office.
Yeah, really nice office. I like to tell myself that the little purple Post-its are a little shout out to Kim Wexler, whether it is or not. I like to think it is.
Maybe because purple is kind of a Waikaro color, I think.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
Maybe that's also a Kim Wexler shout out. So who knows?
Yeah, just, let me have it, Jen.
Yeah, you can have it. Absolutely, it's yours.
They're definitely purple because of Waikaro. I just like
they're Post-its because of Kim.
Because Kim likes Post-its.
Yeah.
But clearly Carol is a whiteboard girly. And I love this because you get to see her whole, like all her thought process on her book. And there's like some different ideas. Like some of them say like what? Death of Raban, like she was considering killing off Raban.
Yeah, I also liked Love Potion in big letters. I wrote down such a trope because it is, right?
Yeah,
I mean, she's going to throw all the tropes in there, and why not? It's that kind of a book.
Somewhat relevant to something that happens later in the episode. Just pointing that out. 12th Night, which is I'm not a huge Shakespeare aficionado,
I didn't
but
see that. Yeah,
it said to rewatch 12th Night, which I think deals mostly with like maybe some gender reversal and disguise, which is interesting.
Interesting. Very interesting. And this is all, of course, the book that will never be.
Exactly. But like she's staring at it and she's got her eraser. And I remember thinking, oh my God, no, because to me, even though we know this is not in any way important anymore, really, the fact that she doesn't erase it and she just pushes it to the side, I let out this deep breath of relief. And I don't know why, because it just, to me, I think that sort of signaled just a tiny bit of hope. Like maybe I will be able to get to this someday. You know what I mean?
That's interesting. I looked at it a slightly different way, which was it was a manifestation of her grief, and sort of like we were talking about the not being able to let go, not wanting anyone to touch the Range Rover, that she didn't want to touch something that had something to do with Helen. She didn't want to get rid of that.
Yeah.
And like, I wasn't sure if there was a chance that was Helen's handwriting on there, or at the very least that she was in the room when they were brainstorming. And so I think she connected everything on there with Helen. Maybe some of those were Helen's ideas. And I think it was like erasing that would be
erasing Helen.
Another connection.
I like that too.
With
I like
Helen.
that a lot.
And it just, kind of broke my heart. But I thought, but she has to erase it. She has no choice. But no, girl has another whiteboard.
Right.
So I was thrilled. I too was very relieved.
And I didn't actually compare the handwriting. I didn't sit down and do that. I'll have to do that because I wasn't sure
I had like a quick look at it. It looks similar. I'm no handwriting expert. It looks similar. I wasn't sure
Yeah.
if it was the same, but it was hard to tell because it was printing rather than like, like a signature or something.
Yeah.
But at the very least, I kind of decided maybe Helen was like helping to brainstorm with her.
Right. I agree. So we have Carol, getting down to brass tacks, as it were, actually trying to sort of figure out how to solve this problem.
What I know about them. And I love that for her. I love that she's getting super organized and like coming together with the plan. This is like a new Carol in this episode a little bit from what we've seen before. She's got her shit together. She looks good. She's sober. Her house is well lit. She's not all in darkness anymore.
Right.
She's dressed in like normal clothes and she's got a plan and
she's on a mission. Yeah.
She's on a mission and I love that for her.
And she's got to the end of her Golden Girls DVDs, apparently.
She has decided maybe that it's time to put those away. And she's past that right now. She's putting that aside. She's not done with her grief by any means, but she's had to put it in a little box and put it aside and focus on this mission.
Yeah. So the things she writes down are, 1, eager to please would give me a bomb.
Yeah. Question mark, exclamation point. I love the little
incredulity there. Yeah.
Just the little bits and pieces in this list. Love it.
Can't kill, not a fly. Don't play faves, like all jerks, same. That was funny.
That felt very Carol, didn't it?
Yeah. And this one was good. Trying to change me! Exclamation point. All of the stars. Like this was the biggest
stars.
Thing.
3 stars before, 3 stars after. Underline the word change. That was a big deal.
Big deal. And we'll find out more later about that.
Yeah.
And weirdly honest with a question mark. And then I feel like I like the idea that she has a question mark because she's like, you know what? Maybe I can figure this out right now. Yeah. She has a little plan in her mind.
She's being very scientific about it, I think. Right now, it's a hypothesis. She doesn't know that for sure, but she can carry out an experiment to learn.
Right. So she goes out to find one of the hive and not the mayor. She doesn't want a politician. Yeah. Very smart.
It's kind of funny. I guess because a politician still might lie, even in this state. It was kind of funny.
So accustomed to lying that they don't even know they're lying, which is
which it could be, which is an interesting theory in itself.
So she gets Larry, played by the fabulous Jeff Hiller. Great performance.
Yeah, Emmy winner from Best Supporting Actor in a Comedy Series for Somebody Somewhere this year. So kudos to him. That's on my watch list. I really want to see that. It looks good. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, particularly after this, seeing how great he is.
Yeah, I think that this has really motivated me to watch it.
Carol calls him Shorty, which I thought was hilarious because he's very, very tall and he's wearing these very short tight bike shorts. It's like, and you know what? On the podcast too, we were wondering about the clothes, like why are they wearing certain clothes?
Yeah, we were talking about this in our last ep.
Yeah, and they said that basically like they're wearing, like you said, what they were wearing when the event happened because they really have had no need. But like at the same time, it's been a week. Like what are they doing about hygiene? Yeah.
I know because for part of this episode, I thought, okay, it's been a week and they're still wearing like odd clothes. So maybe my theory that they're just wearing whatever they were wearing at that moment, it's got to be out the window by now. But no, I mean, thank you, Ray, for helping to clarify that. Nope, they're just wearing whatever they were wearing at that moment, which is kind of a funny idea to sort of see all these, odd sort of outfits, whatever they happen to be doing. But yeah, it's been a week. I'm a little worried.
And I'm wondering too, like if they're, obviously they have people that are capable of like doing laundry and washing their clothes, but like, are they just wearing the same outfit over and over again? Like
maybe they are cleaning it, but for some reason they keep wearing it.
Yeah, and it fits them. So
I don't know. It's mixed for funny scenes though. Whenever we see a group of them together and they're wearing this odd mishmash of clothes that doesn't really go with what they're doing is amusing to me.
I am wondering though, if at some point we're going to start seeing the clothing be more uniform. Because like at a certain point, you'd think they would start trying once again to homogenize themselves and make themselves more one. And doing that with clothing, because clothing is such an expression of individuality. Like it's it's the first thing we notice when we see people.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, you're absolutely right. Good point.
Yeah, so you would think at some point they would want to be doing away with that. I'm just curious as to when or if that will happen.
Yeah, they might all wear like some kind of, coveralls, uniform, something like that. Maybe they'll all start cutting their hair the same way. Who knows?
Right. So let's talk about this scene where they're talking about her books. Now, I
Mhm.
think Carol has a plan going into this because, as established, she believes / knows that her books are not great,
Mhm.
mindless
Yep.
crap, as she calls them. And so she
She
wants to
does.
know, like, okay, since I know they can't say they're great, let's see if them saying something negative to me is possible,
Yeah.
because they're supposed to tell the truth, but they're also supposed to make her happy. So it's this very,
Yeah.
very interesting push pull in this scene.
Yeah, let's see what I can do here. Let's see where I can take this.
And so Larry instantly accesses, I want to say, all of the positive memories, all the ones that
Mhm.
rise to the top. Like, well, first he kind of is very vague about it, which leads her to believe that they haven't read them, but
Yeah.
it's like she's pulling it out of him, like
Yeah,
little
yeah.
by little. Okay,
Asking some different variations on the question. This reminded me of conversations that one might have with like ChatGPT or something. You ask a question, you don't
yes.
quite get the answer you were looking for. You ask it a slightly different way. You're getting
Mhm.
closer. Okay, let me try this a different way. You have to
Right.
kind of make the prompt a little more specific. So it did give me that AI vibe a bit.
Yeah, and the politeness, the friendliness, and everything is just,
Yeah.
yeah, I agree. And he's saying, we love you. We love everything about you. And she's just like not buying it.
This
But
is what I was after here.
I was going to ask you too what you think is actually going on, because there are presumably plenty of very negative thoughts in this hive about her book, or about her book.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
is he just kind of ignoring those and
Mm,
accessing the good ones, because
yeah.
he can say that because it's true,
Yep.
but he's also, by saying we love your books, we like all, like, he's actually
Yeah.
kind of lying. He actually kind of is lying, because it's not true. They don't all love her books, surely.
Yeah.
So how is that, how is he kind of justifying that?
I think the way I would take that is we love your books, not necessarily that we think they're good, but we love them. Like he says, they're an extension of you and we love you. And so, even people that maybe didn't like her books in the past, now that they're part of the hive, maybe they don't think that they're good, but they love them because they love everything and they love her.
And again, I have to keep reminding myself, this is not like a billion voices in this person's head. This is
Yeah.
like a new being. This is a
Yeah.
new being.
I
And
think
this
so.
being loves Carol. So
Yes.
they sort of have to tell themselves they love the book. And it isn't until she actually specifically asks about Helen that he is
Mm.
forced to
Yeah.
tell an uncomfortable truth.
Yes, because that's not about the general homogenous feeling of love towards Carol via her
Yeah.
books, and he can come up with some specific things to like about them.
Yeah.
Then it has to be something a lot more specific. And Carol is so clever about how she asks these questions and how she gets to where she wants to go.
To your point, before we get to the Helen thing, she does ask kind of in an objective way, how would you compare my books to Shakespeare? Because
Yeah.
she knows, like, that they are not anywhere close to Shakespeare. And
Yeah.
yet he still is unable to say that.
All equally wonderful. But
They're equal.
again, he's using the word wonderful, which Carol gets
Yeah.
tired of hearing.
Yeah.
But maybe he's being deliberately vague because he's not
Mhm.
saying they're all deliberate, they're all equally ingenious or all equally well written. They're equally wonderful, which is, you can say that
Yeah.
honestly about something that's crap.
Well, yeah, I mean, and this is true, because this goes to the heart of like all discussions that we have about art. Like, can we say certain art is objectively bad, or
Mm.
how is it quantified? Like, is it just because this work, like for example, crazy Moira McAllister, as Carol refers to her, made this person happy, that
Yeah.
to the hive mind, to the us, that makes it wonderful, because your
Yeah.
work made this person happy, or these many people happy,
Hmm.
just
Hmm.
like Helen says in the first episode. You
That's
make one
right.
person happy. It's not
That's
art, but it's
right.
something. And he's not sitting there,
Exactly.
like you said. He's not very specifically saying it's ingenious. It's a work of a master. He's saying
Mm.
it's wonderful.
Yeah. Yeah.
People
And
love it. Yeah,
I think you make a good point that they may well judge the value of something by how happy it makes people.
right.
And that's the only value that matters to them.
That's true. Okay, I really like that. That's true.
Okay.
There is
All right.
no like objectively good or masterful. It's about how happy it makes people.
Yeah,
And
that's all that matters.
like you said, you can point to pretty much any piece of art in
Yeah.
existence,
Yeah.
and it probably made one person happy.
Yeah, and anything. I mean, like, for
Yeah.
example, the X-Files episode, John Doe
Right.
might make
Exactly.
someone very happy. So what you
Exactly.
can find anything and someone in the world, it makes them happy. And so that's good enough for them.
Exactly. I love that. I love that you brought that back full circle.
Yeah,
Wonderful.
that turned out really well.
We don't have very many opportunities to talk about John Doe, so here we are, folks.
And we don't even have many opportunities to talk about it on X-Files Diaries, let alone on
Exactly.
Pluribus Diaries. So this is a bonus.
For all the XFD listeners, here you go. Enjoy.
Yeah, this might be the first and last time.
I think Carol is affected, I want to bring this up, by Larry's story about Moira McAllister.
Yeah, I mean, it's a very moving story.
Because she says it kind of like callously, like, yeah, she's crazy and she sends me these dumb hats, like blah, blah, blah. And which I think on the surface, Carol probably believes. But when Larry tells her, no, but like you really made her happy, like you really.
Yeah, like saved her life.
Yeah, saved her life. Like Carol does appear affected by that. And it's probably one of those things that I wonder how often celebrities or famous people hear these stories and they are actually affected by them, because it's true. It probably happens more times than they think or that they care to think. But this is also, I'm bringing this up because it comes up later. I don't know if it's something you noticed, but I want to bring it up later.
I look forward to it.
Okay. So this is when she asks the $64,000 question, right? What did Helen think of my books? And this is a very straightforward question.
Yep.
And you can see that Larry is uncomfortable. And he, again, dodges the question, Helen loved you very much. Nope, that's not what I asked. I asked if she liked my books. And then I remembered, I wanted to point this out too. He says Helen loved you very much before he employs the, well, you said not to talk about Helen.
Yeah. It's like he thinks he can get out of it with just a quick, Helen loved you very much. And then it's like, oh, right. Yeah, no, I'll get out of it with this other
That's
technique.
how I can get out of it. Yeah. But again, it shows some presence of mind, like not necessarily that like they don't want to have to tell her this truth. They know they can't lie, but they also know, even though she's telling her, if you tell me, it'll make me happy. Larry / us, they know perfectly well that telling her this is not going to make her happy.
Exactly. And it's so clever of Carol to think of what's a question I can ask that I don't know the answer to. I think there's a good chance the answer might make me unhappy. So it's going to make it hard for them to tell the truth, but that they're still going to have to tell that truth. What's a truth that's going to make me feel unhappy? Well, that's what we have to get them to say.
And I think that it's not something she doesn't know. I think it's something she either knows or very, very strongly suspects.
Well, she wouldn't have used it as the test if she didn't know. Because if she thought that Helen loved her books, then it would be useless. Because he'd just say, Helen loved your books. It's like, okay, well, that didn't really prove anything.
All of this to say, I don't think this was a big shock to her that Helen didn't like or doesn't really care for Waikaro. Like, I have a feeling that they've had many conversations about this. But the thing about her novel, about Bitter Chrysalis, I do think that was new information.
I think that it was. I think that was definitely new information. And I think she knew how Helen felt about her Waikaro series. I'm not sure if she ever heard it quite spelled out, like, the whole cotton candy, for example. I don't think she ever heard it quite said out loud in quite such a brutally honest way. It might have thrown her slightly, but I don't think she was surprised. But I agree, she was a bit surprised by the novel. I'm not even sure if she was planning to ask about the novel when she started that conversation.
I think she just realized, like, okay, he's telling me the truth about this, so this is my opportunity to actually get the truth about this. And it's one of those things, too, which, like, there's plenty of things that we lie about or just don't give our full opinion about to make people, to be kind.
All the time.
Even to the people who are the closest to us.
Yeah.
So personally, I don't take this as any sort of indication of discord in their relationship or that Helen loves her any less.
No.
But it's just one of those things it's tough to hear. It's tough to
It
hear.
is still tough to hear. I mean, that's why Helen never told her, because it would have been tough to hear. And there was no reason to bring that up. She was happy to kind of leave it vague with
Right.
Carol. And yeah, definitely tough to hear.
And I think that this goes into like, okay, some of the things that they talked about in episode 1, some of the things Carol's about to talk about in this episode, the idea of Carol maybe not quite being brave enough to put things in her books that are of significance, are meaningful. And I think this seems to me like maybe they've had these sorts of conversations, or Carol has, pushed back on these kinds of conversations and Helen has let them drop. Because okay, she's not ready for that. Like she's not ready to do that. But Helen, I can't say their fucking names, Jen. I need to write them on Post-its.
It's either Harold or Kellen.
Yeah.
I like it. I love it. We've got 2 possible ship names. We can use those interchangeably now.
So Carol goes to see Zosha in the hospital, and it's just cute how she's drinking. What I noticed was strawberry milk. Just very.
Oh, is that what that was? I did not notice that. Strawberry milk is not something I've had before.
Oh, it's very good. You should definitely check it out. Yeah, really good.
I definitely will now.
I feel like Zosha is still feeling bad about, essentially the conversation she just had with Carol as Larry.
Yes, I suppose so. Yeah.
Yeah. So she's I love how she's always coming up with fun facts, like to try and make Carol happy.
Fun fact. Yeah. That seems like a Zosha thing. We haven't heard anybody else say fun fact yet.
That's true.
But I know that they're all the same, and eventually someone else is going to have a fun fact. But Zosha especially seems to love the fun facts.
Yeah, but it does make me wonder, like, is there any element of their individuality like coming out at all? Like, it is cute.
I like to think that it is.
Yeah. So, and the fun fact she comes up with is about how, so-and-so is a leader of the fan club of Waikaro, which
this person to this person to this person. I love it.
Literally does not give a shit. But
Tingles. Oh no, chills.
Chills. Yeah.
Yeah, it was Larry that had the tingles and Carol that has the chills. Yeah.
Right. So this is interesting. Okay. Carol now knows that they can't lie. And so I've been wondering, I know we've both been wondering, at what point is she going to be like, okay, well, you have to make me happy. What would make me happy is to reverse this. Like she needs to just ask it. And so I'm glad that we're here by now. So we're
moving ahead at a pretty decent pace. Like, some shows you're like, okay, I bet she's going to do this, but it takes her 3 episodes to get there. This is, moving along at a very nice pace.
Yeah. She asks her if there's a way to reverse it. Is there a way to unjoin? And Zosha doesn't answer. Either doesn't answer or can't answer. And then she asks it in the reverse. Can we not reverse this? And once again, Zosha can't answer or won't answer. Now, my question to you, do you think, because I've heard differing things, do you think she isn't answering because she doesn't know? Like, I think my read is not that like she actually knows the way and is withholding it, even though I think that's what Carol might think is happening. I think it's possible that when they don't know an answer, because they can't predict the future, they don't know maybe if it's reversible, that she just kind of, it's like almost like a buffering signal above her head. Like she's, like, I don't know how to answer. I don't know how to, because I know answering this question will make you happy, but I can't answer those kinds of questions.
Oh, so I hadn't thought of it that way, I have to say. It's possible.
So you think she does know? You think
she does know. I think she does know, but I think that, we were talking a minute ago about hierarchies of what they're willing to do. And I think at the very top of that hierarchy is make sure that Carol joins the hive.
Right.
And I think that supersedes everything else. Now, she still can't lie about it, but she can avoid lying by just saying nothing. And so I think that she knows that telling Carol the answer to this will lessen the chance that she can join the hive and will perhaps ruin the hive completely.
Yeah.
And so I think she's holding it back. That's how I took it. And that the only way she can hold it back is not to outright lie and say, oh, no, there's no way to do that because she can't do that. So her only option is to say nothing.
Okay, that makes sense. But this does sort of bring up for Carol some, traumatic memories because of the idea that she's like, well, one day you'll be like us and you'll understand. Like she says something to that effect. And Carol then brings up which I think was one of the best things about the episode, honestly. Like this was just mic drop moment for me. When Carol brings up the idea of Camp Freedom Falls, Zosha knows, which means it must be something, well, Carol's mother knows it.
Yeah.
And maybe Helen knows it. I'm sure Helen does.
Yeah.
About what it is, that it was a conversion therapy camp.
Yeah.
And this, to me, explains so much about Carol's character and a lot of her actions and behavior. It's very, very helpful and illuminating.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I wrote down in my notes, how did I not see this before?
Yeah.
As a metaphor for gay conversion, because this whole show could be seen that way.
Yeah.
And it could be because you and I are straight women, and so we may not have seen it from that perspective. I'd love to hear from our LGBTQ listeners about what their perspective has been on that up until now. But now that it's been spelled out for me, thank you for spelling it out for me. Clearly, I needed that. I'm like, oh, of course, that's why Carol feels the way it is. And of course, we could see the whole show as being a metaphor for this.
Yeah. And the idea that she's saying they were all smiling. They were the worst people ever, but they were all smiling just like you. Like, it really hit me. Like, that this is actually not only something she's rebelling against as a human being, but very triggering as a gay woman. Like, this is just, it's so interesting to me. And I actually wanted to bring this up to you, Jen, because I wondered this since episode 2. I know we're going to probably learn more about Carol's history because we keep learning it in drips and drabs.
Just tiny bits.
When she tripped in Spain and then woke up to like Zosha basically on top of her and all these people around her, and the way she reacted was so intense. It almost made me think that she was having like a trauma response, like a PTSD, and this is slightly triggering to talk about, but it made me wonder if she was perhaps a victim of assault at some point. And maybe even at this camp. You know what I mean? Like, it's making my brain go more and more and more, just because
really
that is such
question.
Yeah, it's such a justifiable way to react.
Absolutely.
To the people that are, especially if she associates all these people with those people from the camp already. I mean, in her brain. And so anyway, it just made me wonder that if there's so much more trauma to Carol than we're even aware of.
Absolutely. And it, excuse me, it makes me wonder whether the scene that you're talking about where she falls and they're all over her, I wonder if the fact that it's a group of people was particularly triggering. Maybe it could have been an assault, or it could have been like, who knows what kind of crazy shit they're doing for conversion therapy, but maybe it involves groups of people holding her down at one point.
Yeah.
It could have been something, or, anytime she acted out, quote unquote, they would do that. And she's carrying clearly and understandably a lot of trauma from that. So I think that's a really interesting theory. And
it just colored that scene differently for me.
Definitely makes it really interesting in retrospect. And this is the kind of beautiful stuff that makes a rewatch of the whole series all the more rewarding when we get to the end of this season. And it definitely informs her whole character. And in terms, of course, as a human, she's going to rebel against these people, but she does seem like really driven, and like more so than the other folks that are like her. And this helps to sort of explain this is another reason why she's so determined and so motivated. And she's probably getting like triggered constantly by these people because they want to force her to be like them. They act like these counselors did in a lot of ways. It's got to be extremely traumatizing. So it was a really interesting insight into her as a character. And it was just an interesting conversation as well to compare what the Hive are doing. Is it basically conversion therapy?
Yeah.
Is it something as immoral as that? It raises that question, and it kind of casts them in a slightly more sinister light when we think about it from that perspective.
Another interesting thing upon rewatch that really recolored this for me is how in the first episode, the person who attempts to convert Carol by kissing is a man.
Yes, it is. So there's that like enforced heterosexuality.
Yes. It's just another little moment that knowing this, you can see like the horror on her face, just kind of like what the hell is happening. Yeah, it would have just, again, colors it very differently.
Really interesting turn. And I found that it was a heartbreaking scene. And I just really felt for Carol. I mean, when you first meet Carol, she seems a little bit grouchy, a little bit cynical. But of course, the more we learn about her, it's like, of course she is the way she is. Well, how could she not be?
Yeah. Really well handled too by everyone involved. Like the direction in this scene is just beautiful. And like the lighting, I love it.
Beautiful as always. And it must have been a tough scene and really well done. And again, also Zosha at the end does bring up the question of, well, you want to change us too.
Yes.
And I mean, I'm going to take this out of the context of gay conversion at this point, because there's only one ethical way to look at that, in my opinion. But if we're looking at it just from the question of wanting to enforce change on another person, Zosha does raise an interesting point. I mean, I'm not going to agree with her necessarily, but it's not easy to disagree with her either, because she makes some logical points, which is, you don't know what it's like to be us. We know what it's like to be you. And so how can you know you don't want this? I mean, I think as viewers, we're still always going to root for Carol and always see things from her perspective and agree with what she's doing. But again, it just kind of raises, excuse me, an interesting philosophy in terms of, this isn't 100% black and white.
This also made me think once again of like politics and social media and the idea of being so entrenched in one side that you're convinced that your side is correct. Yeah. And because you're not looking at something from another person's perspective. And this is not a political commentary in any way, because I think there are plenty of things that I believe are objectively correct and not. Yes. But the other side would say the same thing. You know what I mean?
So this is it. This is the world we're in, right?
Yeah, it just made me think of that too. Very interesting. Very thought-provoking.
Thought-provoking. Every scene on this show makes me think about something outside of the show that's interesting to ponder on.
But as you say, when Zosha does say, we've been you, but you've never been us, I mean, she's not wrong. I mean, she's correct. And there's an element of enlightenment that these people have that Carol has not experienced. I think the problem with it is that, like, it's one of those things that once you do experience it, you can't go back. Like, and I think
the problem
with most types of enlightenment, that's how it works. You can't go back once you've been introduced to this new way of thinking. Yeah. So I just think that's really, really interesting.
It's complicated. And I wanted to point out two firsts in the scene that tickled me, because I'm quite easily tickled, as it turns out. It's the first time, I think, that Carol uses Zosha's name.
Yes.
Because she's just talking to her, trying to get, when she's asking about, is there a way to reverse it? She says, is there not a way to reverse it? And Zosha's not answering it. And so she's trying to get her attention and says Zosha. And it tickled me. Yeah. And I mean, it could be that she's kind of using it in a way to kind of pressure her into speaking, kind of manipulating her slightly by using her name in that case. But I still thought it was a step. I'll take it. Again, I'm a Carol Zosha friendshipper. I'll take what I can get.
I think it's interesting too how she said that how she's talking to Zosha, and she's like, well, a week ago, the president of agriculture or whatever, she's like, you.
Yeah, she's starting to get that, right?
Like, to Carol, it's that's who it is. It's the hive.
It is. So she's not confused about that.
I just wanted to bring this up because I know the Carol and Zosha shipping thing is a big deal right now. People are shipping these two characters. And once again, I have to say, while I am not opposed to this in theory, in any way, there have to be things that happen before I can think that way. And before I think Carol can think that way.
We're not quite there yet.
No, like it needs to be Zosha's choice. And it can't be right now. Exactly. But like you are saying, in terms of the friendshipping, I really, really hope that first, because if this is going to be a ship, it's going to be an extremely slow burn, as it should be. Yeah. I hope that we do get to see a connection develop between them, a real connection.
That's all I want. That's all I want in this world. I mean, I'm not looking for romance necessarily. Again, not opposed to it in the right circumstances. But at this point, I'm hardcore Carol and Helen still. Yeah. And so I really don't think there's room in my heart for anybody else with Carol. But I am just very invested in them forming some kind of alliance or friendship eventually. And so it just touches my heart. Yeah. And the other little thing I wanted to mention is, as I wrote down, holy shit, Carol smiled. And
Yes.
it was a real smile, I think.
Mhm.
Like, we saw teeth and everything.
Yeah.
And I was very tickled by that as well.
Yeah, remember when we said that when she did actually smile for the first time, it would be kind of a big
Yeah.
deal? And like, here we
Yeah.
are, we're remembering it. She even says, "This is the happiest I've been since you've known me."
Yeah,
Like,
like,
congratulations, you did
this
it. Yeah.
this is me happy. Yeah,
Yeah.
you did
Yeah.
it. And she's not, I don't think she's lying. She's not being snarky. She actually is happy because she's learned something that gives her hope.
Yeah.
And there's that moment of like joy. There's a little bit of joy for just a second there.
Yeah. So Carol believes, as I'm now agree with you, that like Zosha does know the answer. She's just withholding it. And so she has to figure out a way to force her to tell her. So basically we have this great scene in the pharmacy. I love this scene. It's so funny. She's looking for sodium pentothal. It's really funny. My husband immediately knew what that was. He goes, "Oh, it's the truth serum." And
how
like,
do people know that? Like, how did Carol know that? I didn't know that.
I mean, I didn't either, but I thought it was funny because another one of my friends' husbands said the same thing. And I'm like, what is it with men? Like, men just have this information at the ready for some reason. I don't want to know why.
No, it's a little disturbing if we think about it from that perspective. But yes,
know.
it does. It is something apparently. I looked it up because I didn't know what. I mean, on the bottle, it's thiopental sodium.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, I had to Google it, and it's like, oh, okay, it's also known as sodium pentothal, and I think I have heard that term before on other shows. And there is this general sense that it is a genuine drug that's used as like an anesthetic, but there is this sense that it can be used as a truth serum. But I guess it's questionable about whether it is or not. But again, Carol, acting quite scientifically, decides to do an experiment to see if that's true.
Right. I do appreciate her being sensible and sort of safe. Like, if I'm going to do this to someone else, I'm going to do it to myself first and see.
That's great. And she looks up the dose. She looks up the dosage and everything. There's no Google anymore, so she's going to have to look it up in the book.
Right. She's being very sensible. I like it. And responsible. If you're going to drug someone up, you got to do it in a responsible way. Right?
Exactly. Wouldn't do anything to someone else that I wouldn't do to myself. And she wants to see if it works before she even bothers, because she knows this is going to cause trouble. This is going to cause waves. This is going to be a risk. And so she wants to make sure it's worth it.
Correct. So this scene, by the way, I also heard that this man on the podcast, they said, is Alison Tatlock's husband. Correct?
Yeah, who was great. I mean, he was great.
I don't have his name at my disposal, but he's great.
I think the person who's credited as pharmacy worker is named David Wyatter. So I'm guessing that's who we're talking about.
He was very funny. I like too how she quickly pivots, like, okay, I need to find these things, but I don't want them to know what I'm up to. So I'm just going to tell them I'm going to shoot myself up with heroin, which I think was so
great
funny.
Idea. It's so hilarious. I laughed right out loud when she said, "Do you have any heroin?" I mean, it was actually a pretty good lie. I mean, she can still lie. And it was like
straight to
heroin.
Yeah.
And I think it was like, let's just throw him off the chase here. And it was kind of a believable thing that you might be looking for.
This scene had some of the best lines of the episode. I loved when she said, "Sophomore year was tough. Of course, it doesn't hold a candle to this shit." Like, so good. And then he's trying to talk her out of it, which another thing he brings up, which I thought was very interesting, the idea that there are a bunch of people basically detoxing because addiction is no longer a problem. Yeah.
And again, it's like one of those things like, oh, I hadn't thought about that, but an interesting peek into what's actually happening. Like, yes, they're not still doing drugs, but they're in serious withdrawal.
Mm-hmm. And the guy is like, we don't have heroin. He's like, but we can offer you some other opioids. Like,
it's so very helpful.
It's just easier to help.
Would you like
but
some
she's like,
oxycodone?
nope. I know you guys can get it. And he's like, well, the nearest heroin is 8 miles away, which I gotta say, in Albuquerque, I don't buy it.
Yeah, I think that, unless this hospital is like well outside the city for some reason, then yeah.
But he makes it happen. And again, another great line. You guys are better than Domino's.
There was a lot of really great lines in this whole episode.
Right, because this scene caps off one of the best ones when she leaves and she's like, "Are you sure? I recommend that you snort it instead of injecting it." And she's like, "Nope, I'm going to Sid Vicious this shit like it's the Chelsea fucking hotel." We screamed. It was so fucking funny.
My husband laughed and laughed at that one too. So it was, just great.
Amazing.
Just a great scene. And very quick thinking on her part and very believable. Why wouldn't you do heroin in her position?
Yeah. And they believe it too. Obviously, they're buying it.
Yeah.
So this leads into my favorite scene of the whole episode, which I'm sure is not an uncommon opinion.
Yeah, mine too.
So she shoots herself up and she's just waiting and waiting and waiting. And then we see that suddenly she's fallen asleep.
Yeah, yes. But
Something
luckily
happens.
she has set up her video camera to record the event.
Yes.
And I think they said on the podcast that they actually used the footage from the video camera.
Yeah.
In the actual show. That wasn't like, a fake, pretending to videotape it. They actually were videotaping it and using that footage, which was fun.
And Ray had to do a whole lot and must have had a lot of fun with this. A lot of stuff that was not even used.
Yeah, I really need to see those deleted scenes. So
would love to see these outtakes.
Waiting
I hope
for that.
Yeah. So she's watching. At first, she doesn't think anything's happening, but then she notices that she's kind of slurring her words. And obviously, Carol doesn't remember any of this. So she's like, okay. She sees she's walking all over the house. She's like, okay, I don't remember any of that. What was happening?
I like it when they show her when she's watching herself on the screen, walking all over, like behind her in the kitchen or whatever. And present time, Carol looks behind her like, Jesus, was I back there? Like, what did I do back there?
What was happening? Yeah. Oh my God.
Love it. Just so clever.
Her reactions in real time and her performance on the video are both just so distinctly wonderful and perfect.
They are both awesome, and for a variety of reasons, hilarious, heartbreaking. Everything is happening at once, and I love it.
Well, I mean, speaking of heartbreaking, one of the first things, and this is a whiplash, because right off the top, we think this is funny. Like, this is actually really funny.
And it is funny at first.
Yeah. And then we see that she's just weeping on the couch. I miss you. And oh my God, her face when she's watching this happen, it's kind of like, okay, that tracks. Like, she understands. Okay, that makes sense. That's something I would do. But like I think what what Carol is looking for is something that's like, maybe she wouldn't normally do, like something she maybe wouldn't say or admit. Like, that's the kind of thing that she's looking for here.
Yeah, which just wants to see what she'll say, what she comes up with. And she fast forwards through a lot of it because there's a lot going on. And even on fast forward, it's hilarious because she's doing all these weird physical things, and it's funny to watch.
Yeah, one of my very favorite parts, and this is such a blink and you miss it moment, was when she's reading the book and she's like, oh, this could be a movie. And she's reading it in like this, she slowly turned to face the raspy voice. And then she actually kind of looks around her.
I feel like she's kind of almost like parodying herself at one of her own readings, because she does make a little gesture at the very first reading in the very first episode where she kind of like nods or something as the reading says to nod. And so she's kind of just overdoing how she normally does her readings. Right.
So funny.
Yeah, so great.
Then we have a little, what I would call the Blair Witch Project shot of her little head like up in the frame, and she's wearing, Jenn, the crocheted cap, which I assume
a crocheted hat
is from Crazy Moira, right?
I think it must be. I mean, I love the writing. That little seed was planted early in the episode that this fan sends her crocheted hats. And then she keeps them. She's wearing a silly crocheted hat. And it's like, okay, that's got to be one of the silly hats that she's gotten.
And she says, listen, I'm not that bad.
I don't know what she means there. I don't know if we're supposed to know, but it's hilarious.
I think she's feeling guilty in this particular moment. I think she probably feels guilty for making Moira feel shitty, because she probably did.
Maybe,
you know, and then she regrets, because I think she's a lot of puffery. Like, she's just going to say mean things, but she doesn't necessarily mean them. Obviously, she doesn't mean them. She kept the cap, you know?
Yeah, she didn't throw them out.
Yeah, so it's just, I think that maybe in that moment she was just feeling like a shitty person and was like, I promise I didn't mean it. You know, that kind of thing.
Yeah, it's a lot of the kind of stuff that people say when they're drunk, that's for sure.
Yeah. So then here's the moment, Jenn, that I loved so much. This is so funny. She's talking about Zosha, and she is actually saying her name, Zosha, the pirate lady. And she's so annoying. Oh my God. This is very, very little boy on the playground behavior here. The pulling your pigtails on the playground because I like you. Yes. Jenn was very, very confused by that. But like, I'm going to say
that was a pop culture reference that I was missing. But now I know what you mean, yes.
I'm going to say I don't like you when I really do. That's kind of how it was coming across to me. Gotcha. Because she's first saying... She's saying all of this stuff about how annoying she is. And I love also in real time how Carol's agreeing with herself. Like, I
love that part. I love Carol being like, that's right.
Yeah.
You're right. Exactly. That's what I've been saying.
Yep.
Yeah. Perfect.
And then she takes it to the point where maybe Carol wouldn't have admitted out loud and says, why she gotta be so goddamn fuckable?
That was so great. And the way
Amazing.
I love the way she delivers that line too. Like she's a bit suspicious.
She's
like,
curious. Yeah.
why she gotta be so goddamn fuckable? Like what's with that?
Why
did they make
do
her
this?
that way? Yeah.
What was their thinking
What
in
was
making
the
her this way?
idea?
Yeah.
So and the
Oh my
reaction, of
God.
course, on like real time Carol's face, like, whoa, okay,
Whoa,
that's
whoa.
a little too much now.
Yeah. And I mean, I love that that's the point that she turned it off, because maybe that's something obviously Carol knows and thinks, but would
Yeah.
never admit out loud. And so
Exactly.
that's the point where she knows, all right, this works. You know what I
Yeah.
mean?
This is as much as I need to hear. This is definitely something I would never say out loud.
Oh, I
So
love it.
clearly this does have the effect of making you say things that you would never say under any other circumstance. So the experiment has been proven.
Yes. So, she flushes the oh, by the way, I had to make this clear because there were some people on Twitter that didn't seem to understand that she had injected the sodium pentothal and thought that she had shot herself up with heroin. No, she did not. She threw the heroin into the toilet,
Yeah.
and then shot herself up with the sodium. I just wanted to make that clear.
Just watch the screen, folks. Don't look at your phone when you're watching Pluribus. You got to just it's all there for you on the screen.
I really don't think that this is the reaction you'd have to heroin. Just saying.
No, I mean, I'm no expert, but it wouldn't look like this.
No. So anyway, she is now going back to the hospital and she's taking the handcuffs out. We see her putting the drug into her pocket, and she puts some handcuffs into her pocket. And I think this moment where the guy by the milk truck's like, hey, Carol, and she's just kind of like, she's just kind of
waves him away. Like, yeah, that's another moment from one of the trailers, I think. And I love it. It's like, yeah, I've heard it all before. Yeah.
Yeah. So she goes back up, down to business. I think also slightly embarrassed of her own feelings and sexual desires here. She's like, you look better. Like, that's the only thing she's thinking is, wow, okay, this is a thing that's happening. But I love it. And so when she's like, let's go. We're going to go for a walk. Okay. Right down to business. Once again, Carol, very much down to the business. And I love when she's rolling her down the hallway, how like just Zosha, just like a throwaway line. How was the heroin?
Yeah. Just like a friendly, like you'd say to someone, oh, how was the concert on the weekend? Yeah. Like, yeah, just love it. Just, how was the heroin? Like Zosha's like delighted to have a subject of conversation.
Exactly. And Carol's like, yeah, I threw it away. Not a lie.
Yeah, absolutely true. So yeah, and we zoom in on the wheel of the wheelchair. And did you notice, Annie, what was written on sort of the center of the wheel of the wheelchair?
Didn't it say drive?
It said drive. And you know what I thought? Immediately.
Of the X-Files episode?
Was that a throwback? I mean, it did linger on that word a little longer than you might have thought otherwise. So that's where my X-Files mind went.
My mind went there too, actually. And I wasn't even going to bring it up because it really had no bearing on anything, but because I couldn't think of an actual story reason that the word drive would be so prominently featured.
Yeah, I thought maybe it was going to refer to something else, but no, I'm just left with thinking it's an X-Files callback, and I'm always going to bring those up because I love them.
I'll take it. Yeah. I do like the little bit in the elevator when she's like, "Whatever happened to Muzak?" Like she's just trying to distract her. But like,
she's trying to distract her, but I have wondered that myself. And friendly tidbit for those that may not have known what the song was that came on in the Muzak version. That was Arthur's theme, otherwise known as Best That You Can Do, by Christopher Cross from the year 1981. And I was very pleased to say that I am of the age indeed where I recognized right away what song that was.
I actually did too. I just remembered, what is it, Caught Between the Moon and New York City?
Yeah, that's the most famous line from it. Yeah.
Yeah.
Great song, actually.
Yeah, really good. And I love that was included. And another thing I continue to find so amusing is just Zosha's constant state of bliss. Like she's just like everything's great. Exactly
great.
Like Carol was saying, everything's great. We're stoked. Like
exactly. She's in the hospital, and now Carol also makes like a very sort of throwaway line that says, "Well, I know how much it sucks being in hospitals," which is, I mean, You might just say that anyway. That's a fairly generic concept,
Right.
but I kind of wondered, it's like, oh, another little peek into Carol's past. I don't
Right.
know.
Yeah, I was wondering, like, was she in there with a suffering parent, or was she in there herself? Like, I don't know. I was wondering if that had any meaning too. I did want to.
Will we find it in the future? Who knows? But even if we don't, it was still just an interesting little peek there.
A little window. I liked it.
Mhm.
So here we go to the big climax here, Jen.
Yeah.
Zosha is now getting affected. She pulls her out away. She wants to get her away from the rest of the hive because I think she knows very well what's going to happen.
This isn't going to, she needs to get her as far away from people as she sort of realistically can.
Right. So they're talking. She can tell Zosha's starting to slur her words. And so Carol doesn't waste any time. She jumps right on in.
She doesn't know how much time she's going to have.
Tell me how to reverse this. And so Zosha's, again, saying nothing. But she does say no, and she's crying. And then at this point, the hive starts moving in on them.
Yeah.
And I don't think Zosha, correct me if I'm wrong, ever actually says, please, Carol, but the rest of the hive says it.
I don't think that Zosha does. No.
Okay. And the rest of the hive says, please, Carol, over and over, and they're all crying, which again, this is the first, other than what we saw with Larry just feeling slightly disappointed earlier about making Carol sad, they are legitimately sad at this turn of events. Now, I have some theories, but I want to hear what your take is on this whole scene.
Well, I mean, I think that it's a more extreme version of what Zosha was experiencing in the hospital, which is that she knows she can't say anything. And she's being affected by the drug. She's still a human being, but she's still trying. She's hanging on, trying not to answer because she knows she's not supposed to.
Right.
The hive, in the meantime, are saying this, please, Carol, over and over again, just in case, I think. I think they want to drown out anything that Zosha might say. She might whisper something or something like that. So I think maybe they're trying to drown her out a little bit, possibly, but also trying to, get Carol to stop and get her attention. That's the best they can come up with. I mean, I love Carol's kind of reaction. Again, I don't know if this is in any way deliberate, but she kind of freaks out when there's a group of people moving in on her, sort of like we were talking about earlier about freaking out in Spain when there's a group of people moving in on her and, yelling, I have agency. And she's quite emotional there. So again, it feels a little bit like she's experiencing maybe some trauma there.
Yeah.
But it's a good plan. She knows what she's doing. She knows they can't touch her, utilizing that whole idea that she knows they can't hurt anybody. And she's being pretty intense. She's almost torturing Zosha, which kind of hurts my heart.
Yeah.
And the hive are trying to think of something that they can do to stop her. And there's very little they can do. And so they're feeling it.
Do you think they're appealing to Carol's humanity, like with the crying? I mean, obviously I think they're really legitimately feeling sad and they're crying. But then I started to think, because I agree with everything you've said, but I started to think, why? Again, other than the biological imperative, we can't let her have this information. Why are they reacting this way? And then it made me think of, again, what is right and what is wrong? Because Zosha, we have no idea where Zosha came from, other than we know most likely she came from something real bad. Like she was dirty, she was beat up, she was tarnished, her clothes were tattered. We don't know what was going on in her life, but maybe she came from a very, very bad situation. Maybe many of these people have come from a very, very bad situation. And so the mere thought of it being reversed makes them sad. And I was wondering thinking in that moment, how close this whole thing was to coming apart for them. If Zosha really does know the answer and was about to say it, what is that emotion just genuine, considering just the mere thought of going back to the way things were? Because when you look at it from Carol's perspective, Carol wants her life back. She wants it back the way it was because it was better for her. But was it better for all these other people? Not necessarily.
Great points. I hadn't thought of it that way, but I really like that interpretation. I think I was kind of thinking that they were just kind of reacting to Zosha's distress, that she's distressed at the idea of possibly revealing this, and also distressed at the idea of making Carol unhappy because Carol wants this so desperately, and it just creates such strong emotions in her and that they are reflecting that experience. But I also really like that interpretation that they also are sad at the idea of this information being revealed. And it could be because it's a hive mind thing where that's just their sort of fail-safe reaction. Or I think that it's also possible that for some of these people, genuinely, I think you're right, that they are happier the way that they are and they don't want to go back. And so that could be also a genuine emotion that they are experiencing as a hive.
I think regardless of what the intention was in this particular scene, it made me think of that, which I guess is the point, to make me think of like, okay, some of these people are genuinely in their minds are better off. Like, would they trade safety and security and being able to eat and sleep and live
and being happy
for the individuality that, you know, the world before presented?
Yeah. Is Carol speaking from a position of privilege in the sense that she's happier on her own, living her life, but maybe not everybody is.
Right.
And who is she to decide that for them? And so all really interesting questions.
Yeah. Anyway, I just thought that was interesting. And then I thought that the cardiac arrest happening was interesting because I don't know if there's any way, like the hive can't make this happen because they can't hurt another person, right?
Yeah.
Was it just lucky? Was it just lucky for them that she went into cardiac arrest and could not spill the beans?
Right.
Or was this a direct response to the serum?
Yeah.
Or is it or was it a response to her distress? Like what is putting her into cardiac arrest and why did it happen in that moment? That was my other question.
I mean, I think it could probably quite easily just be a coincidence that that's just a reaction to the drug. I mean, Carol's not a doctor, so she doesn't, as much as she read up on the dosages and such, I'm guessing that it's always possible to have a reaction to any drug like this. And
though she was already weakened too.
Yes, that's right. Good point. She was not in the best shape. She'd had like this serious concussion and all that. So that might have had an impact. But in the moment, I did kind of feel like when I was watching it that her intense distress had to be contributing to this. Like probably her heart was racing and maybe the combination of that with the drug is what led to the cardiac arrest.
So it was lucky, but also
I think so.
Perfectly reasonable.
Yeah, that's how I took it. Like, you know, would she ever have said anything? Who knows? The cardiac arrest kicked in, and just the way the whole scene was done, such rising tension throughout, that she's getting closer and closer to maybe saying something. There's more and more people arriving with all this please Carol intensity. The music was brilliant, of course, and what a great scene.
Yeah, and another great performance by Ray, as always. Like just kind of the confusion and like the genuine sadness that she's done this to Zosha. Like Zosha is dying because of her. And I mean, not only is this just I've killed 11 million people in the abstract. This is I kill this person that regardless of what they are and what they represent, like I've grown a little bit of an attachment to.
Yeah.
And I care about what happens to her. Like I don't want her to die, you know? Like I just really, and again, just all these things kind of just going across Ray's face perfectly.
Yeah, brilliant. Yeah, like as soon as it's obvious that, and of course Carol knows that they're telling the truth when they say she's in cardiac arrest, she's dying, that she immediately stops and immediately just lets them do whatever they want to do.
Lets them save her. Yeah, kind of like, okay, this didn't work.
And you can see the devastation on her face that it has come to this. Like it could easily have been played as like, oh, fuck, I can't believe this didn't work. But it is more like, I can't believe that I've done this. I'm devastated that it's come to this.
Yeah.
And also the others, the people around her, they look genuinely pissed off at her. Like they're looking at her during that whole, you know, trying to resuscitate Zosha moment, and they're looking at her and not looking at her with a very pleased expression on their faces, which is almost a tiny bit hostile.
Up to this point, Carol hasn't done anything kind of intentionally malicious. Like, and I mean, even though we understand her motivations for this are not malicious, like she has a very good reason to be doing this. From their perspective, how could you do this? How could you hurt her in this way? You know? And so I agree with you that there's definitely some judgment perhaps and some hostility that they're feeling towards her at this point. And we also get an answer for how that chopped off handcuff ends up on her
Well, yeah,
hand.
because we've seen that in like the teaser trailers.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, that's right. Another piece of the puzzle slots into place.
And that's the end of the episode. I mean,
Yeah, wow. It ends on that gripping moment.
oh,
Zosha.
I thought of one
Zosha.
more. I know, Zosha. I thought of one more thing to point out that I saw people pointing out on Twitter, that the aerial shot of
Mhm.
the people surrounding Zosha
Yes.
and the shape that it makes around her when people kind of
Yes.
move aside looks like a key.
Ooh, I did not notice that. I'm going to go back and check again.
Yeah, and I think that's interesting, whether intentional or not. I mean, everything's intentional with Vince, but like I
Mm.
think Zosha, I think, is going to be the key to unlocking this,
Yeah.
because like I said before,
Yeah.
like the one in Pluribus, the one, like there's gotta be someone that's gonna
Mm.
end up breaking free of this. And at the same time,
Mm.
I don't know how I feel about that, because like I said, I don't know if Zosha wants that. I don't know. We don't know anything about the real Zosha. We don't know where she came
Mhm.
from. We don't know
No.
her. Yeah. So I don't know how I feel about that, but I do
Mm.
feel like that's maybe where this is heading. But I have no idea where the show is heading, so I don't know. But
No.
I
Yeah.
do think that there's definitely something important about Zosha, something different about Zosha that will unravel as the episodes continue.
Yeah, I look forward to learning more about Zosha. And I agree that I've gotten very attached to her as a character for some reason. Yeah, the more we learn about her and the more central to the plot she becomes, it'll make me happy. I mean, it's funny when we encounter other Hive people, because technically they're kind of all the same character, which is makes it interesting for how it gets played, and it's always exciting to kind of meet another version.
So
But there's just something about Zosha that makes me happy, and so yeah, the more that she's part of the story, the happier I'll be.
I love it. Well, let us know what you guys think or thought about this episode. I mean, again, I feel like this has been my favorite. I know I keep saying that every week, but I think this has been my favorite episode so far.
I know. How am I going to decide? At some point, we're going to have to figure out. Maybe when we get to the end of this, we'll decide which was our favorite episode. But yeah,
Yeah.
so far, it's all of them.
Yeah. Check us out at pluribuspod.com. That's where you can find all of our stuff. Our socials are also pluribuspod. Also, just an update for you guys. Apparently, Apple is going to be releasing next week's episode on Wednesday, which for everyone in the know, that means Tuesday night is probably when it's going to be released. I'm guessing this is because of the Thanksgiving holiday.
Yeah.
But we plan to drop our episode at the usual time, which will be the following Monday. Just letting you guys know our plans. But in the meantime, please rate us, review us on all your listening platforms. It really, really helps us a lot. If you even like us a little bit, please do so. And we will be back with you next time on Pluribus Diaries.
Bye.